I opened a grocery store at 21 years old and an event venue at 23 years old. Two completely different businesses in different industries, and needless to say, I learned a lot. I had a lot of challenges, some were expected and some were not. I'm here to share my challenges with you so you know exactly what you're getting yourself into before starting a brick and mortar business. Also, if you want to start your own business and want some guidance, I actually just launched an online academy on all things brick and mortar business. There's over 12 hours of video content filled with everything you need to start a business, coaching calls with me, group chats with other aspiring entrepreneurs, and more. You can book a free call using the link down below to learn more. Now, without any further ado, let's get into today's video. The first challenge that I face that you might face as well is not having a lot of money left over for you to take home. This could be for a year or maybe even a few years. I've spoken about this a few times, but a lot of people misunderstand this, so let's break it down. So when you start a business, you're gonna make money. It could be a little bit of money, it could be a lot of money. But the thing is, you might not be able to keep most of the money. When you start any brick and mortar business, you will need to put down a large sum of money for the initial investment. Some examples are you'll be buying equipment, supplies, and maybe even do some renovations. These things cost a lot of money. On top of all that, you're gonna have what I like to call mandatory payments. For example, license, permits, insurance, and other administrative stuff. If you're renting a place, then your landlord is also gonna ask you for a security deposit. And some landlords ask for up to 3 months. So let's just say your monthly rent is $4,000. That means that you're gonna have to give your landlord $12,000 upfront. And you won't see this money until your lease is over, and that's if you respected all the conditions. On top of that, the first few months or even the first year, you don't really know how much your business is gonna make. If you don't make enough money to cover all your expenses and the salaries of your employees, you're gonna have to put more money into it from your own pockets. This is more money that you're gonna have to put into on top of the initial investment. So basically, until you haven't paid back your initial investment and any other money that you had to put down after opening the business, you're not gonna have a lot left for yourself. On top of that, if that business is your only form of income, it's gonna slow down the payback for the initial investment because you're also gonna be taking out a salary for yourself. I highly recommend you keep your 9 to 5 or a side hustle while you launch your own business so you don't have to take out more money out of the business when you start. By doing that, you can pay your initial investment back sooner, whether that's a loan or whether that's just paying yourself back. Before we move on to the next challenge, make sure to subscribe for more business-related video. I make content on all things entrepreneurship, and I help you start your dream business. The second challenge I face with, and you might face with also, is you're probably gonna waste a lot of money. You can also lose a lot of money because you're just getting started. You're gonna buy things you think you will need, you will stress over things and then just buy it, and the list goes on and on. In total, for the sake of this video, I did kind of try to calculate how much money I wasted in the last 3 years of owning both of my businesses, and it's close to $30,000. I wish I knew better, but honestly, at the time when I was buying these things, I thought I really needed it. So I'm gonna give you a few examples of what I bought that was completely useless. The first thing is kind of my fault, but kind of also the company I was dealing with, but let's just say it's completely my fault. I didn't do enough research on the company I hired to do my sign for my grocery store. He did a horrible job, so I had to pay another company to redo it. I didn't check the guy's reviews, portfolio, website. I really didn't check anything, so I guess that's my mistake. And he refused to give me any discount or anything like that, despite the horrible job he did. The signs had cracks, it was dirty, the font was not what I agreed to, the size was too small. There was just clearly some misunderstanding somewhere. And just recently, I made the exact same mistake again. As you may or may not know, I opened a coffee shop inside my event venue during the week when I don't have any events. And honestly, it's not really a coffee shop, it turned more into a restaurant. This is simply because the neighborhood I'm in, they don't really want another coffee shop, they want more of a restaurant, and they want Indian food. So I should have waited a couple of weeks, if not months, before deciding what I wanted to write on the windows. So I'm eventually gonna have to get that redone as well. But again, if I was patient, if I tested it a little bit, if I waited a little bit longer, then I could have just done one job once and for all properly. Some other mistakes I did was buying equipment that I thought I would need, but I actually don't need at all. And I'm talking big things like fryers, dumpling machines, like the list goes on and on, honestly. I just can't believe I would buy these things. But again, at the time when you're launching a business, you just think you need everything. What I recommend doing, and I need to take my own advice, is to make a list of everything I think I'm gonna need and evaluate after a couple of weeks, if not months, and see if I really actually need it, or if it's worth the investment. The third thing I learned, and you need to learn too, is to keep a very healthy budget for marketing when you're launching a new business. You can skip this step if you're a social media pro. If you're really good with social media, you can do a lot of content for free and it's not going to cost you nothing. If you don't know how to work social media, then you're going to have to hire someone to properly do it, and that costs quite a bit of money nowadays. A lot of people just go with someone off of Fiverr. I personally don't recommend that for a new business. I recommend going with a marketing agency or someone that's in your city because they understand the customer behavior, patterns, trends, and so on. And given that they're in the same city as you, they can actually come by to your location, take proper pictures, give you advice, and so on. For marketing, other than social media, you want to have an attractive website, distribute flyers, have posters, run Google and or Facebook ads, and maybe even throw an event to create some buzz around your city. Something I personally did was throw a 1-year anniversary event for my venue instead of an opening event because my venue wasn't fully ready when I first opened. So that's something you can consider to do as well. Definitely recommend keeping a healthy budget for an event because you want people to enjoy, talk about it, share with their friends and family, and the only way they will do that is if they have something to talk about. I made sure we had plenty of interesting food, desserts, an open bar with colorful drinks, a DJ, some fun stations like popcorn, cotton candy, an audio guest book, and a photo booth. I also had a videographer make the promotional video that you're currently watching, and a photographer so vendors and guests have nice pictures to then post on their social media platforms. These are different things you can do when launching your own business marketing wise. Again, if you're a social media pro, you can avoid this step, but if you're not, definitely keep a lot of money aside for this purpose only, because if you don't market your business, you're not going to get any clients. It's as simple as that. I definitely underestimated the amount of content and marketing I needed despite doing social media for a living. So just a little PSA for you. The fourth challenge I faced was getting customers for a new business. Getting clients for a brand new business can be really difficult, and I underestimated that big time. Basically, when you start something from scratch, your name means nothing. Nobody knows you, nobody knows your business, and most importantly, customers don't have any feedback or reviews. And it's even more difficult when it's a high-ticket product or service. Basically, we're expecting for a customer to spend hundreds, if not thousands, blindly on a business that they have never heard of and they have no reviews on. So not only do they need to make sure that your product or service is good, but they also need to know somehow that you're a reliable business owner. And if you have employees, they need to know that as well. And it goes the same way with suppliers. They already have strong partnerships and clients that they've probably been working for years, if not decades. And at that point, they're already comfortable with them. It really takes a lot of patience, time, and resilience to form these connections with the clients and the suppliers. I had so many planners literally ignore me when I told them that I'm opening a new event venue. And it's understandable because they've been in the business for so many years. They already have really good connections and partnerships with local vendors and venues and so on. I think it took me a little bit over 6 months to really form connections and get to know people. But at first, don't be surprised if you're ignored and they just don't care about you. You definitely cannot take anything personally when it comes to business, and trust me, as someone who really cares about what people think about them and so on, that's just how I am as a person. It's hard, but you're gonna have to get used to it. So the fifth challenge I faced, and it's kind of a no-brainer, but I wasn't fully listening to my clients. Let me explain. A lot of times I had people come into my store or the venue and ask if I had this or that. And when I wouldn't have this product or service, I would just say no and keep it moving. It sounds so stupid, but I don't know why I wouldn't write it down and then try to get those products or services. I mean, customers are telling me exactly what they want, and I was yet ignoring it. I think I was honestly so fixated on the products and services that I want to have, given that it's my business, that I wasn't fully listening to what the community was telling me. I eventually learned that a business is not about me, but it's about the clients and what they want. So now every single time someone comes in and wants something, I make sure that if I don't have it, I write it down and do proper research on it. The sixth challenge is do not be overly generous. Do not be too generous in business. Believe me, it never works. When I first opened my store, I would always gift customers a little something at the cash. It could be like cookies, candies, gum, just like little things. But the one time we don't do something properly, we do a mistake, whatever, all the kindness and all the help that we've once provided them is like out the window. Mistakes happen, it's so normal, but somehow customers just never forget this one mistake you made, even if you did like 10, 20 acts of services in the past that were nice and kind. Basically, when customers are so used to getting things for free, they're always gonna expect it. So I just stopped doing it altogether. That way I'm fair with everyone and there's no expectation. I did the same mistake with the venue. So sometimes I would come in at the end of the event and I would see the party is still going on. So I would just allocate them an extra hour for free. 99.9% of the time, it was not worth me allocating a free hour or it was not appreciated. I now have a system set in place. Business is business. If someone paid for this is exactly what I'm gonna provide them. And I think it's just the best way to go about things. I also work for a first come, first served basis for the hall, because in the past, I would essentially give clients 24 to 48 hours to get back to me and leave that date open for them. But then I would have people come and want to book that date. I would call back the other client, they wouldn't pick up, and I would lose clients because of things like this. So the simplest way to do this is just have a system and just stick to it and make sure everyone knows about your policy beforehand. The seventh thing is you need to always overestimate your budget. And I learned this the hard way. Believe it or not, I budgeted only $75,000 for my 5,000 square feet venue. Yeah, just $75,000. That is a laughable amount for the size of the space. And when I first told my mom that was my budget, she literally laughed at me and I just did not understand why. Now I know exactly why. When I tell you I went well over that amount, I mean well over it. When I hit $150,000, so double my initial budget, it just still kept going and I just didn't know when it was gonna stop. The exact same thing happened for my grocery store. We were nearly at double the budget. So if you plan on starting a business and your budget is $80,000, make sure you know how to get access to an additional $100,000. It could be a loan, it could be cash, it could be savings, it could be friends or family, an investor, anything. But make sure that you figure out the access to these funds somehow before starting the business. Nothing is more stressful when you're starting the business and suddenly you're out of funds and now you have to figure out where you're gonna get this extra money from. Have a plan and always overestimate your budget. Eighth thing is very similar and you're gonna have to always make sure to overestimate your time frame. I gave my store 1 month for a makeover. No, it was more like 4 months. Venue, I gave myself 3 months. No, it was more like 6 months. And on top of that, I had work going on in between events for 1 whole year. The one thing I learned is if your contractor says something, double that time. If they say something's gonna take 3 weeks, it's gonna take 6 weeks. Most of the time though, it's not their fault and it's not your fault. Sometimes you're gonna need specific things that are out of stock and it's gonna take a lot of time for you to receive it. This slows down the project immensely. If you need something specific like flooring, HVAC system, I think my HVAC system took like a couple of weeks just to receive it. And these are things that you can't really plan before. I mean, you could, but you just never really know until you actually start looking for the things. But receiving these things when they're out of stock can take so long. So these were 8 things I wish I knew before starting a business. These are 8 challenges I faced. I really hope this was helpful to you. Remember, my online academy is here to help you launch your dream brick and mortar business. The whole purpose of this academy is for you to have a place to come and talk to when you have questions when launching a business. I really wish I had someone to talk to when I had questions when starting my business, and I really don't want anyone to feel like this, which is why I created this online academy. I'm gonna be hosting coaching calls and also have a group chat so we can all talk together about all things business. If you're interested in learning more, you can book a free call down below. Thank you so much for your time for watching this video, and I hope to see you in my next business related video. Bye!